Yes, hello everyone. This is Spirit Journey. Sorry about that. I was just live streamings on the commentary on the UFOs video that I watched, and so I want to complete this video. So I apologize to the viewers that were watching at the time. So with this part two, I was just about to talk about another individual, this experiencer. Again, um, I'm commenting on a video that I watched. I think it was sponsored by MUFON, and the person was given a lecture. And in this lecture, he discussed different experiences of the UFO phenomenon, the visitations. And in the first part of this live stream that I did, I talked about this man named Albert. When he was young, he found an alien that looked humanoid. He had fallen down this crevice, and Albert pulls him out of this crevice and brought him to his spacecraft. And it was told not to tell anyone about the spacecraft. And then a month later, somehow this alien found him and said, you know, you helped me out with the cosmic laws and everything. I have to reciprocate kindness to you, and um, I'll teach you secrets, you know, technology secrets. And then later on in life, this guy, Albert, gets in a car accident due to him having a stroke behind the wheel. And somehow the alien finds out he's in the hospital. So I guess maybe Albert was being tracked, who knows. And then he gets healed overnight. Again, he was on his deathbed, this Albert, and his family was notified to come to his bedside because it was like you know, he was about to die. But he miraculously gets healed by the alien. But he had a knee problem, and the alien said, well, I can bring you to planet Venus to be healed, but if you go there, you can't come back because the atmosphere difference. Um, so Albert says, you know, could I bring my wife? Albert says no, um, and no real reason that, you know, well, you did me the favor in the past, so it only extends to you to help. Now remember that this alien was life was spared, was saved, but yet he can't do a kindness for him and just bring his wife along. But they can't afford to bring the wife. It's ridiculous. It sounds very selfish and one-sided. So that's what in a quick run, what the first part of this video was about, you know, the experiencer. And now I'm going to talk about another experiencer on this video that I watched. And let me see here. I want to see if I could, so that for continuity purposes, so others don't have to rely on the first video. I want to show you the thumbnail of the video that I'm referring to so that at your leisure you could watch the video of this other YouTuber uploaded, and you can review it and understand the type of questionings that I'm going to be given in this explanation video, commentary video, I should say, about this video. So let me show you. Okay, that's the video that I'm commenting on, and you see it's almost 2 hours, and it's a lecture, and they don't show pictures of the aliens or anything like, you know, the aliens didn't look like this according to the drawings that they show. This is just a thumbnail that they put up. Okay, the aliens supposed to look like Europeans, white people, and another experiencer saw another type, and I'll discuss that also. Okay, so in this video that I saw, okay, I have my notes in front of me. There was an individual. He was a pilot during World War II, and his name is Van Tessel. And let me see here. Yeah, the aliens contacted him also, and they gave him technology, and he was able to make this structure. It looked like a dome, and this structure was able to reverse aging. And let's see here. Yeah, he gave the aliens gave him this technology that to reverse aliens and to that he wanted the aliens wanted to use him as a liaison for planet Earth, and this was the start of it. So the aim was give us a little technology as a liaison and help humanity, and uh, I guess eventually the government would find out. And so they help him build this dome, and the government found out about it and they squashed it. They didn't want him to continue on this endeavor. They said, well, if you're able to reverse aging, then that's going to affect the hospitals and blah, blah, blah. So they discouraged him for doing this. So it just goes to show you how Earthlings feel about other Earthlings. Because it's not profitable. So let's make people sick because it gives us money, but let's continue to be sick. So that doesn't make any sense to me. But okay, it is what it is. Okay, just like there's supposed to be cures for cancer, and but they squash that because they want you relying on medicine. Okay, and then what I have here with this Van Tessel, okay, this developer of this anti-aging device, they said that they could make men back to the age of 35 and women at the age of 25. So I don't know why not the same age regression, but that's what they said, according to the lecturer. Again, he doesn't have any eyewitnesses with him. He's just doing a presentation, a lecture. Okay. I have here also. Let me see here. Okay. Um, I think it was like sometime later, the aliens came back. Yeah, he had at this device was made in California, in some desert, and there was a woman there who was also a contactee, and I think two other people. They were allowed to stay on the premises where this age regression machine was. I'm not sure exactly which building they were in. Yes, hello, viewer. Yes, I apologize if you were viewing earlier. Yes, the stream um, stopped and I had to restart again. So yes, I'm continuing back back on the subject of the UFO alien um, phenomenon. It's a commentary that I'm doing on the said video about um, disclosure. Okay, and I'm mentioning now in this part about another experiencer of the UFO phenomenon, and he goes by the name of Van Tessel. And this is, I think, right after World War II. And again, he builds that the aliens communicate with this guy and wants him to be a representative, like an ambassador, and to be a liaison um, with planet Earth and to teach him technologies. And then this technology they shared with him was about age regression, but the American authorities found out about the machine and prevented him to use this. And then the next part I was just about to mention was him or some friend of his were at the facility where this age regression machine is, and the two visitors of this facility get paralyzed, okay, and they talk to the person that was currently in charge of this facility, this lady. Oh yeah, I remember now. This lady is a widow, a widow. Her husband, Van Tessel, who made this age regression device, had allegedly died. Okay, but remember, he allegedly dies, but he has this age regression machine. Okay, so you ask yourself, well, why didn't he use it and to regenerate himself? But they explain what happens. So the widow of Van Tessel, is at the facility, and she gets visited by these aliens, and the aliens had paralyzed the two visitors of the facility, and the aliens want to specifically talk to her and immobilize the two visitors so they don't go leave their building and go to where the widow was staying in, I guess, another building, to tell her that her husband is not dead but is alive. They just made this body, and they took the real body of the man back to their planet. So I asked myself now, okay, I just have my notes here. Now, why would an alien do that to somebody? Now, this Van Tessel had a wife. They didn't want to let the wife know, um, on the planet where they come from, planet Venus, but leave the wife behind. And something with the cosmic laws, they only made the agreement with Albert and not his wife. I thought that was very selfish. And then in this second experiencer, Van Tessel has a wife, a widow now, and then they came back to tell her, your husband's really not dead, but on the planet with us. So again, why even come back? Why did the aliens come back to tell her that? That's gonna stress her out even more. Wouldn't that wouldn't that make you more stressed? Here you become a widow, and then someone comes to you and say, "Oh no, your husband's here, but we got to leave you here, but your husband is well and living with us." It sounds cruel. So again, these aliens seem very selfish. I'm just positioning my hand here. These aliens from other planets seem very selfish, and they don't seem to believe in keeping spouses together, you know? So I'm just reading my notes here. Yeah, so I have here in my notes that these aliens seem to pick and choose who they want, who they want to represent them, and they allegedly are coming here to elevate our humanity. And I just find that problematic. So, on a personal one on one level, they're very one sided, but they have this benevolence for the planet and the people living on it. But they don't want to bring your spouse. They don't want you to bring your spouse for planet Earth, and not let the spouse know ahead of time that you have to go on an assignment to another planet and leave the spouse behind. And how's the spouse going to take care of themselves? Let's say they were financially dependent on their spouse and they need help, or let's say they had kids, so it's abandonment, you know? Okay, I have something else here. My other question was, it seems like the all the aliens seem to be Caucasian looking. They're supposed to be very, white, blonde, hair and blue eyes. And I asked myself, why do they look that way? Okay, that's my first question. Why do they get clothes? Oh, how do they get clothes that look like people from planet Earth? How do they learn English? They all seem to know English. How do they buy their property? Like they seem to be living here somewhere. So, you need money to buy property, to live in property. So that means any alien could just come here and not be harassed by the authorities, neighbors, you know? Do they have to pay rent? So when you get a house, you have to buy the house from somebody. You have to have credentials, whatever, I assume. Or let's say they rent. So now you're going to have a landlord. Um, you got to pay rent with money. So all these aliens, are they landlords? And so they just know how to select other aliens to live in their apartments or in their houses. I don't know. Okay. How do they decide who they are going to visit on the planet? Okay, that's my other question. Why are they dealing only with white people and corrupt governments? Okay, they like to come to the US, and there's a lot of corruption here. And it seems like the aliens aren't going to what they call ghettos to give them technologies how to remove lead paint from their walls or how to get fresh water, you know, or food, organic food. Why don't they seem to help, yeah, native people who are goodly? Okay, you have in this country and on the planet, you have what they call native peoples. Like you have the indigenous people of the Americas. You have people in Africa who live in tribes who don't bother anybody. They live off the land and nature. You have the native Australian people who are living in poverty. They need health care, housing. How come these aliens seem to only go to white people and advance their technologies? And again, it's also about the elevation of humanity. But a lot of these Western world nations are the nations who are developing A bombs and GMO foods and chemtrails. Why do they seem to be attracted to those people who are harming the planet? But for innocent people on this planet, I mean, it seems like they know just where to go. And in the beginning of the video that I was that I showed the thumb there earlier, that, oh, what's that I was going to say? Oh, it just went, I just forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, okay. It'll probably come to me later. And again, I'm just really free floating these ideas, and I wrote these questions down while I was watching the movie, so it's not in any particular order per se. But I have another question here. Now, this one of the experiencers said that they they're building these ships, these spaceships, and they're building them in Utah. Why out of this whole planet and out of all of the United States, why do they always seem to like to choose Utah? Everybody knows that Utah is Mormon, it's a Mormon state. You don't get any job there, any top job, unless you're a Mormon. You're a member of that organization. And again, the Mormons are um, heavily linked with Masonry, Freemasonry, okay? So somehow aliens only like to work with Mormons or areas where they populate. So I thought that was another um, false, another red flag to look at, you know. There was another experiencer on the that was discussed on this lecture. It was a she was a seamstress. She sewed garments, and she received a visitation from these aliens. Okay, and her story is a little different with what the aliens look like. Okay, and again, she was asked to be an ambassador. And again, she lives, I think, in the desert area over in the west, somewhere in the United States, like very desert looking. And she described these aliens as such, that these particular aliens were bronze in color. Okay. Now, bronze is something like me. Like if I get a suntan, my color would be a type of bronze. And then another of the aliens was a dark purple. And she used the term that the bronze people look like Greek gods, and this dark purple alien seemed Egyptian to her. So I asked myself, okay, what does an Egyptian look like? I've been to Egypt, okay, but I gathered like ancient Egypt. But again, these Egyptians, and I've been to Cairo, and I went to the Museum of Cairo, and I saw what the ancient Egyptians looked like, and he kind of looked like me, and I in this country am classified as a black woman. So I was wondering, like in her description of them, it sounds like she's Europeanizing these aliens when she said a Greek, that they look like a Greek god, and then an Egyptian, but not saying African. So, excuse me. But you know what else? The Greek gods now in ancient Greece, like if you go to a museum and look at the ancient Greek art, the oldest Greek art, those bowls, those ceramic bowls, they're all black skinned people, the most old ones. And then the latter pottery from Greece were the white colored ones. So it's interesting. Now, but she, again, this is just her terminology that they reminded her of Greek gods. So when I heard that, I was thinking that she means maybe they were muscular, like I we have museums here in New York City, and I go to the Greek and Roman exhibits, and they all have like muscles and everything, and they seem very tall. So I'm thinking that they look like them, and she's just saying that the coloring of them was bronze in color and dark purple. So, but it's that they're more like making them seem more Mediterranean slash European in the identity of these people, you know, but not outright just say these were African people or North African people, you know. So I thought that was interesting. So, like, why is that? Why is it that all these beings always seem to be European looking, or they've said something ancient, and they're removing having the ethnicity seem more compatible or agreeable to white people or Europeans? And again, remember, like in many UFO stories, you hear what's called the Nordics, and that they're tall white beings with blonde and blue eyes. So these contactees are using European terms for the Nordics. Now, Nordics is a specific term for Scandinavians. These include the countries Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and I think also Finland. But in particular, those other uh, countries in particular. So that's an Earthling term. That's a those are countries on planet Earth, and they're called Nordics, and but they're using that terminology to label them as an why should you give that title to aliens from another planet if they're not from there? So the same thing, why are they using, if someone's that dark, so dark they look like a purple, like a dark purple or bronze, how come they're not using the term African or uh, Native Australians or even Caribbean looking people? Because the people of the Caribbean, they're dark in color. You know what I'm getting at. So you're creating an ethnicity, something that for mainstream ufologists to focus on, that's not going to spook people. Remember this one video by, oh, what's her name? It'll come to me. She Project Project Camelot. She interviewed this American fellow. He was I think in his late, I think he was approaching 90. And this video was made several years ago. Yes, how you doing? Yes. So, yeah, this Project Camelot interviewed this man who he was I think a scientist, and he worked for the government in these space projects, and he did this. He wrote a book, and he wrote about Mars. What's that? Mars. The this wait a minute. No, Saturn. It was the rings of Saturn, the name of his book, and he studied the rings of Saturn and how they change. And he was invited to this government installation, um, who's to, I think they have spaceships and stuff, some type of private underground base. And they showed him this picture on the wall, and he said specifically uh, that there were beings coming out of this spacecraft, and that they were black. He didn't say like African, whatever. These were giant people who were at least a minimum of 8 feet, and that they were literally black in color. And he seemed very, if you watch the video, there's two versions of the video. There's the full video where they explain further after he made that comment. um, One of the versions of the video, it gets cut, and then they go on to the next topic. But the full version has the conversation that was emitted. But it was just something, he was excited about when he saw the, sorry, when he saw the picture of the black skin aliens. So, but you don't have many people discussing that. That's the only video that he specified their color. But again, he didn't say that they were black people. I mean, Negroes, or referring to people from Africa or anything like that. But something else that were just black in color. You know, so I'm wondering with this video that I'm comment on the experiences of these bronze people and dark purple people, that they're not using the term Africans or Negroes, or you know what I'm saying? So but for white people, they want to use the term Nordics, and everything with the Nordics is always hailed as being something positive, that they will advance. But my question is now, what advance, um, what technologies do these giant black skin races have? And how come they're not being discussed in ufology to the same extent as what they call the Nordics, even though they're not Nordics. Okay, so they're using terminology, earthing terminologies to describe an alien as associated with a human group. Okay, but they're not doing the same for darker skin aliens. It was just something that I noticed. So it seems to be like politics in describing what the alien's supposed to look like, you know. And some aliens, they seem to have all this technology, and then others are just to be feared if they're dark skinned. Okay, so it's just something that I noticed. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I have my other question that I wrote down here is, why did these dark people not go to where they places where they look like to be a rep, you know? So here, this lady, this experiencer, is her story is being discussed at this lecture that she saw these Greek god-looking aliens, and they're visiting a white lady, but how come these dark-skinned aliens aren't going to places where the people look like them? Okay? Wouldn't that make sense? You want someone to represent you. Shouldn't you go to a region, you aliens, go to places where people look like you know, who are, what do you call, bronze in color? So I'm kind of close to bronze. If I go out in the sun, I'll look very bronze. Or very dark skinned people. You have people on this planet who are so dark they almost have a blue hue to them. So that purpley one will be kind of blend in, right? But you don't hear about that. You don't hear about that. Yes, hello, new viewer. Yes, so you don't hear about represent dark skinned aliens going to, yeah, I love your topic. I'm glad you do. I know I can get a little all over the place, but I'm really trying to stay focused and really present to you thought, good thought to, you know, things for you to really think about when you watch these videos about aliens from other planets and how they seem to only like certain people, okay? And these aliens keep going to white people to be representatives to them. And I wonder, why? I'm not a bad person. I don't do chemtrails. I don't murder anyone. I obey the law of the land. I consider myself a good, spiritual minded individual, but they're not coming to people like me who kind of look like these, you know, and I'm tall. I'm considered tall in my community. I'm taller than most people I meet. But I don't have muscles. I'm kind of skinny, you know, so I don't look like a Greek god. But you know, there are people in Africa. You know, my phone is acting up. I hope it's not shutting down. But either way, yeah, I think it dropped. I hope it didn't. But either way, I why aren't they going to like East Africa? Yes, hello viewer, you came back. Yeah, so I asked myself the question. Now, in East Africa, you have those real tall Africans who are dark like these ETs. How come the ET didn't go there for those people in East Africa to represent them? Or how about those basketball players that they have in the United States? Some of them are really dark skinned and tall. How come they didn't go to them to represent them? Everybody, you know, they'd be a great representative, these basketball players, and to be representatives of these aliens. Again, these basketball players are already being viewed by millions of basketball lovers in America and across the globe. How come they're not talking to them? People would listen to them, I think. Yeah, but you don't hear that. So it seems like these bronze colored and purple colored Greek goddess type ETs only seem to like white people who live in the desert, and hardly anyone lives there, you know. So I thought this was really telling, you know. Okay, and just go look at my notes again. Yeah, I discussed here that in the beginning of this lecture that I was watching, this video, it was said that this guy named Thor, something Thor. Now Thor, the name Thor, coincidentally, is the name of this um, Greek or Roman mythology. So it's really interesting that these mythologies from the past is using their names to introduce themselves to the earthlings, you know? So it's like to by namesake to make you seem more important than you are, you know. Then they're not saying their name is Bob or Sam, you know, but Thor, okay? And then this Thor worked in the Pentagon, okay? So I asked the question, so why do they need to go to the desert to find a person to be a representative of their planet if this guy named Thor from another planet is being represented here and is working in the Pentagon? You hear what I'm saying? So the Pentagon does know about these aliens and being represented. Oh, and also this guy named Thor, he was around in the 1920s, and he's in a photograph. Yeah, if you watch the video that I showed the thumbnail in the beginning of this part two live stream, you'll be able to see a picture of him. It's a picture of him, this lady, and his sidekick. They're all from this, I think, planet, yeah, planet Venus. They just look like regular white people from Europe. They look tall, yeah. They were all sitting down, and they're at this place in California, and it's a color photograph from back then. Maybe it was the 1930s or 20s. Um, so I thought that was unique that somehow they just link up with white people again, and somehow they just keep on perpetuating the technologies with these people. And again, how do they get the suits and dress and everything of these American? And they speak English, and they didn't age. They don't age at all. Why don't these aliens age? Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, that these aliens taught this guy, as I gave the name earlier, Van Tessel, these this technology on age regression. And so this alien that's in the photograph that they show, they look like regular people. They were good looking too. And they were seen in the Pentagon. Again, this person had contact with this alien, and then they get invited to the Pentagon. This lady gave him a, yeah, this it was Van Tessel's, I think, widow, and this friend of theirs was invited, and I think the widow gave um, somehow allowed him to get clearance to go in the Pentagon. I don't know. It just sounds so far fetched, and how regular people, and then you had people during the war, somehow the aliens get in contact with them, and then a liaison, and then they find out that after all these years, they meet this guy named Thor. Yeah, that Thor had come. He was in the inner circle in the Pentagon, like the Pentagon has different rings, and they were in the courtyard. And then this visitor who gets the clearance to come and visit him, this Thor comes out and talks to him and says about this forming a liaison and everything. And he looked like the same person in the photo from many years back, and he didn't age. So isn't that something? So it's like some people have access to this machine that regresses aging, but you notice the presidents and all that, they're not using it, and that they die and everything. So how come if this alien is trying to promote a liaison and to elevate humanity, how come the aliens aren't enforcing this anti-age machine to advance its spirituality and um, I don't know, because if it's all about elevation, we all want to have a nice life and go to the gardens and breathe fresh air. Why wouldn't we want that? Don't we want to live longer and healthier and have free energy so you could plant and have organic food and a utopia? But these aliens aren't enforcing this utopia to save us. But again, they'll probably say it's all about free will and you have your right um, to do what you want. But then at the same token, they give certain people the technologies to promote healthy living and free energy. So it sounds contradicting and everything of their whole purpose to come to planet Earth. If planet Earth or specifically the United States doesn't want this technology, I'm sure the third world would jump on it. You go to Central Africa or Equatorial Africa, they would jump on, hey, yeah, give us free energy. Um, Give us this device to, longevity, to age regress. Because in some countries in Africa, the average age upon death is in their 30s. I kid you not. Yeah, I'm sure they would jump on that. And I'm sure they would use that technology in competition to the Western world who's abusing them. So maybe what I should do when I go out today is to give a prayer to the aliens and to pray that they get to the third world or in the ghetto of the United States or the ghettos in the West Indies or Latin America or the ghettos in Australia, and to give us the technologies of free energy and longevity so we don't have to deal with the Western oppressors. And this would elevate the planet, you know? Yeah, maybe I should do that so I can help humanity be elevated. And so, yeah, because I hate aching, Sometimes my body's aching and everything. I would like something to remove my body aches and everything. And I'm a good person, you know. So these are the questions that I was thinking, and the commentary that I have upon this watching this lecture on the UFOs and the aliens that come down to uh, share technologies and everything. And for some reason, they only like talking to white people and not people that look like me and everything. So, yeah. So that's all I have to say. And again, this video is really inspired by another YouTuber who likes to ask questions and to use logic and reason, as he says. And I thank that YouTuber for providing logic and reason behind these phenomenons called, the UFOs and the alien agenda. Okay? So it's a lot of things that one to consider, and why these things are going on. I think there's something to it. I personally think it's just humans, or maybe the Germans, and they're just trying to destabilize, or they have their own agenda. Okay? So I thank you, YouTube, you viewers out there. I hope you like this video and feel free to comment below on this video and give me your insight and what questions you have regarding UFOs and the alien gender, and also as it pertains to black people slash mixed race people or ethnic people on this planet and the UFO agenda. Why does it often exclude you? That's the real question. So thank you again for watching. And if you need to get in contact with me, you can just email me at spiritofazalea@gmail.com. Okay? So take care and enjoy your weekend and the rest of the day. Bye bye.